Hi, everybody. We're
Hey
back
there.
with Rick and Claudia. So tonight, uh, June 5th, we're talking about Jupiter ingressing into Cancer. So a couple of things before we start. Actually, I have three things before we start. We had a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful celebration of life for Rick, for our Rick on May 25th. And I want to thank everybody that helped and reached out and sent beautiful messages and cards and gifts. And Liza's so appreciative, and so are we. We had a wonderful time, and it was worthy of him, and we were really happy about it. We had a good time. I know he did.
Absolutely.
So, and
The
actually,
stories that were shared.
oh yeah, it was a great day. It was a great, great day. Um, if you are on our Facebook group, or if you want to join our Facebook group, it's Astrology Unplugged, and that's where you can chat amongst ourselves. That's where we chat amongst ourselves. I'll share some pictures from that day on there so you can see them. And the second thing I wanted to touch base on was,
Hold on one second, just to avoid confusion.
yeah,
That's the Astrology Unplugged community on Facebook that you're mentioning.
yes,
And for
yes,
anybody curious, we are the original Astrology Unplugged on YouTube. That is Rick DiClementi's channel.
exactly, where you're watching us. And there, I believe there's another one. But
Yes,
um,
it just popped up recently.
you know, I remember when I first saw this channel, I
Mhm.
thought to myself, that is so appropriate. Rick was so unplugged, meaning he just liked to be himself and just lay it out there. And it was because he was so real, right? He was so no
Absolutely.
holds barred, and it was part of the beautiful spirit that he had. So, yeah, thanks for letting us know that, Rick, because it's true. This is Rick DeClementa's channel, Astrology Unplugged. Um, I kind of wanted to check in on something because I realized tomorrow, Venus is going into Taurus until July 4th. So if you remember, we did an episode, I don't know, a couple of months back. What's the month now? May. So in March, I believe we did a Venus retrograde episode. And so Venus has been in the signs of Pisces and Aries since December. And it might even be November, but I think it's December of 24. And here we are, 6 months later. It's just past its shadow period. So now it's going into Taurus. Venus is going to have a whole different energy moving forward. And actually pretty quickly there, it's going to form us a nice angle to Jupiter and Cancer, which will be really lovely. But I'm excited about that because I actually did feel that energy, and I didn't even think about it till today. I thought, oh my gosh, I feel like there's something, I don't know, something a bit more of an ease, but I'm a Taurus ascendant, so maybe I would feel that. Regardless, we'll all feel it. Venus loves Taurus. Venus, resides in Taurus. So it's a beautiful, fertile, grounded energy. That Venusian energy is Taurian. It likes it. It's natural for it. It's, somebody running through a field, picking flowers and loving life. So I wanted to just remind you, we're coming out of that, and now we're going into a new energy, which is going to be nice for Venus. But tonight is all about Jupiter. So Jupiter has been in Gemini for a year, right? So I want to say May of 24 up until June 9th, June 8th June 9th of this year. Jupiter's been in Gemini. Jupiter is said to be in its fall in Gemini because it's the opposite of where it's domicile. So Jupiter in Gemini is very different than what we're about to experience in Cancer, where it really likes to be.
Mm.
loves being in Cancer. So again, the energy this year, I know you've probably been hearing about all kinds of astrologers talking about how the energy this year is going to shift, it's going to shift, it's going to shift. And we are, as the months progress, remember we started in January and things were retrograde, Mars was retrograde, Venus was retrograde, and we hadn't had these outer planets change. Energy is is not, on the calendar. It's subtle, right? So as we can feel that the winds are starting to change, and whether that's change that eventually will show us some not such good things, but it's changing. Um, I try not to look at it like that, but let's face it, that's reality. So why don't I bring up my slides and we can talk about what it is really going to feel like for us individually, collectively in Cancer. Because in Cancer, like I said, um, it is very different than in Gemini, and you'll start to feel it pretty quickly. And if you're a Sagittarius, even a Pisces, or if you have placements in Cancer, you'll feel it big time. And you'll feel it if it's going to square or if it's going to sextile something. So let me share my screen here. Give me 1 second.
And some people will go ahead and interpret it for the sun, moon, and ascendant,
Yeah,
because it'll have effects.
exactly. Um,
Oh, as well, so will people that have a Jupiter return if it happens to be in Cancer, if their Jupiter is in Cancer to begin with.
right. Actually, I know somebody, right? Somebody on this show right now that had a Jupiter return, didn't you? You had your Jupiter's in Gemini, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure how that played out for you, but hopefully.
It was very cerebral.
Yes, that's the right word for it, isn't it? Hmm. Gemini is cerebral. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
I have screwed this up because you have to now I can share my screen. Sorry about that. Okay. It works a little differently once you put it in presentation mode. Okay. So like I said, on Monday, we're starting. Jupiter will shift from Gemini into Cancer. Cancer is the fourth sign of the zodiac. Um, it's the first water sign. Uh, there we go.
And the first sign of the second quadrant as well.
Yeah, yeah. We're growing up. We're growing up. So Jupiter, let's talk a little bit about Jupiter. So one of my favorite, of course, it's one of everybody's favorite planets because it's just so darn pleasant and darn, they call it the Great Benefic for a reason because it's got this flavor of just this buoyancy and good, what makes life good, aside from Venus. Um, but we'll talk about that later because Jupiter isn't always just all good. It can, express itself in a different manner, but overall, um, it's the largest planet. I mean, as you can see on my screen, I don't have to read it all to you, but its its archetypal energy is to expand. It's big. It's physically big. And what we find sometimes, in fact, oftentimes, is that the energy, the astronomical signature of a planet actually takes on the energy within it, the way that expresses in our lives. So,
Mhm.
for example, Saturn's a cold planet, right? So it 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 its density is very different. So in our lives, when we feel Saturn, it can feel more like restrictive, cold, depressive. Um, and I'm not trying to badmouth Saturn. It just sometimes it really is that literal. Um, and the Romans thought of Jupiter as being equivalent to Zeus, the ancient Greek god, and resulting in Jupiter also being thought of as the son of Saturn and the brother of Neptune and Pluto. And Rick is way better at this than I am because I am not into mythology at all. I should be. It's one of the things that I try to force myself to learn more about. But it is called the Great Benefic because it's just larger than life and brings a lot of good things to us, a lot of wisdom. Let me move on here. And naturally, it rules Sagittarius. Um, in ancient astrology, it used to rule Pisces. So if I was a Pisces, I would still consider Jupiter, when interpreting certain things in my chart. I definitely consider both in that way. Um, I put the keywords on the screen because I just want to familiarize you for those that don't know what it what it does in our lives, how it can express itself. So I've got a great example because I've got a Sagittarian child who's got her sun is up at the midheaven. Like she's got a lot, this Jupiter is her Jupiter is is
Highly supported.
oh yeah, it, highly supported. Um, And sometimes she'll say to me, I feel like my luck is gonna run out. Because this kid is just so lucky and things just happen, just I go, honey, that's just not gonna happen. But you have to consider other things in the chart. But it is one of those, I mean, the expansiveness. And Rick, I remember Rick talking about Jupiter and saying that sometimes Sagittarian people, because they're ruled by Jupiter, they don't have any they're boundless. They don't know any limits. And if you think about Jupiter, the planet, it's very gassy, right? So that doesn't have a limit. It's very, it just kind of goes everywhere and it's boundless. And that can be, a way of looking at how this really plays out in our lives. So if you're not a Sagittarius, if you're not a Pisces, you've got to find where Jupiter is in your chart, where your Sagittarius house is in your chart. Um, if you just do those two things, you'll get a flavor for what it's doing in your natal chart. But I took the time today, and Rick, thank you for giving me this idea because I looked at, if you can see me on screen still, I looked at the Exquisite Zodiac, which I think you should all get because I looked at it today and I went, oh my God, I have to read this again. It's so freaking good. It's so good. The whole thing is so underlined because it's got so many nuggets. This man and Liza wrote this book and they really covered it in a way that whether you're a beginner or you're an astrologer professionally, you will get so much out of this book. So in the Sagittarius chapter, he had a little poem, a little quote. He said, Jupiter just smiles at life's broken toys, its humor restored with faith and with joy. Its red spot like a dimple, not a scar, a playful reminder that to the planets, it's a star. And it is. It's one of those planets that it's just full of life-enhancing energy. That's a good way to put it. I thought he really covered that in that little quote. So Jupiter and Cancer, take a look at what's going on in your life because there's an area of your life where it was last. So it's a 12-year cycle. The last time this happened was 12 years ago, approximately. Usually it's 12 or 13 years, give or take a month or, a few months. Look at those dates. Look at what was going on in your life. And even though you may have had other things going on in your life that may have been difficult, uh, there was an area of your life where this was influencing. And for some of us, that's going to be more like prominent. Um, than others, depending on the planets that you have in your natal chart. Um, I have three planets in Cancer. These are very definitive times for me. I had other things that were extremely difficult, especially in the earlier cycle, 89 through 90. Actually, the next one too, but still, there was that area that I thought, when I look back, yeah, it was working. It was at work in my life, in my chart, and I felt it. And that'll be the case for a lot of us, even if you don't have planets in Cancer. Um, so how is it going to feel for us? What is the big deal about it going into Cancer? Well, as we talked about, it is exalted. It's exalted in Cancer. So what does that mean? It does really good work. Um, every planet feels at home in a certain sign. And sometimes it feels at home in a certain sign, and then other times it does even better. It does its best work in a sign. Well, Cancer is the sign that Jupiter does its best work in. Uh, its expression, it can be so uh, expansive in this particular sign because it's comfortable there and it does its best. So what is it going to do in your chart, in our, collective how we experience it? We're probably going to feel a sense of maybe emotional connection within ourselves, with other people. Cancer is a big family sign too, a big, big family. Family's a big deal for cancers. Safety is a big deal. Um, Connection and the feeling of nurturing. So the symbol for Cancer um, is is it's really meant to be like two breasts. It's the nurturing of the breasts, which is the feminine, the mothering, um, which is what a wonderful what a wonderful energy to put Jupiter in, because it's like a big giant nurturing hug with a bowl of chicken soup. That kind of feels like that's where this energy will take us. Now, again, other things are happening in the sky as well. This is not the only thing. So don't think it's all going to be, for the next year, but there's going to be an opportunity for it. So this is one of my favorite things to look at when I look at charts for a day, a week for other people, because when the wind is behind your sails, then you know that, oh, okay, I can get more mileage out of this and I will be helped. The universe is helping me right now with a certain aspect, like this. For example, if you are wanting to look into into therapy, or how to be more understanding in your relationships, how to be more connected in your relationships, any relationship, within the family, within yourself, with your partner, this is going to help you. And if you're a water sign, it's really going to help you rather nicely. So if you're a Scorpio or a Pisces, this is going to be really good in terms of giving that wind behind your sails, as far as that expansion emotionally. And if you want to have a look or experience that benevolence that this planet is here to show you and give you. And Jupiter is really tied to wisdom as well. So, you know, this is the expression in Cancer, but Jupiter in and of itself brings a lot of can bring a lot of wisdom. So this is just lovely when you put the two together. Go ahead, Rick.
I think that's really important, just coming after all that time that it has spent in Gemini. And then, as Rick says, all this wide expanse of information that Jupiter has been bringing into our spheres of awareness now
Mm-hmm.
is going to splash down into the first water sign that
Yeah,
and it is going to, now these are going to be my words, nurture and support
yeah,
a launching of using this luck that Jupiter brings us to really expand where our mind was preparing us to go in the past couple of Jupiter and Gemini years. So where your mind had been focusing on, now you get to launch. So I would definitely think it's a really wise idea to try to go back to the previous cycles where you have those years and nudge people to go ahead and say, what happened? What was the big deal?
mm-hmm.
What were you growing in your mind prior
Yeah,
to that ingress that was manifesting possibly over a short period before and then continuing on to after the ingress, because you got to go ahead and put those ideas into place. You have to nurture them along, and then boom, change happens,
yes.
and you get blessed.
This is a, yeah, yeah. We're going from the mind to the heart, the spirit is quite different. And
Mhm.
that's not to say that in Gemini, it has its place, right? Um, so you do you that was a time of more practical learning and ideas and thinking and more cerebral, and now we're going into more of the heart space, which is very different. And for some, it may even be uncomfortable. For some, it may even feel like, oh, this is too much, depending on your personality. But regardless, Jupiter was a teacher. Jupiterian people, and Sagittarius,
Philosophers.
They still
yeah,
are teachers.
yeah, they really are. So
Mhm.
you're going to learn about yourself through that expansion, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you don't really sign up for it consciously. It's still going to teach you and it's still going to expand you. And sometimes I find, I don't know about you guys, but I find that, when you're going through a transit, you're going through it, but it's kind of right towards the end of it or right as it passes, or when you look back in hindsight, is really when you start to assimilate and you start to really get like, oh, okay. Yeah, that time really did help me. I didn't realize I was kind of kicking and screaming at that point, or I was resisting, but it really did help me. And um, I happen to live in this space because I have 3 planets in Cancer, but I know plenty of people that don't want to go there. That's actually rather uh, uncomfortable for them. But in the end, what it will do for us collectively is really expand our consciousness. Um, I have a quote here that Jupiter in Cancer feels like spiritual growth through emotional safety. You expand not by traveling far, but by going deep into memory, feeling, connection, and care. It's kind of encompasses all of it, right? Uh,
Mhm.
you'd be hard pressed to find a Cancerian person that doesn't really need to, like Kirk used to say, they're always saying, "How you feeling?" Yeah, well, you had a good day and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but how do you feel? That's so me. That's so it's uh and that's just they can't help it. They cannot help it. They're also ruled by so Cancer is ruled by the moon. So it can't fluctuate, right? Like people with a lot of cancer or cancers, their moods can fluctuate and their emotional they can be not always, depending on other things in their chart. They may need help getting grounded, but in any case, oh, I messed up.
The
Sorry.
moon also helps us recognize that um, the different parts of anything that you're trying to develop, you can actually find that um, your large Jupiter projects that you want to bring forward, your big expansion, if you break it down into steps and stages, you can move through it using the phases of the moon while it's in
Yes.
Cancer. That's going to help it to
Yes.
come to fruition. You're that way you're working within the cycles in the cycle.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's that's very true. And I often don't I don't look at that enough, but it's very true, especially when you have, yeah, in it during the following year, like the next year, that would be really important to keep in mind and to look at the cycles of the moon and how it's affecting your chart in particular.
By
And
the way, as long as we're mentioning that, 2 days after this ingresses into Cancer is
The
uh,
full moon?
the flower moon, pink
full
moon.
moon and Sag.
Full moon.
Yeah, it's the pink moon for those, or the flower moon, I believe. Some places, some call it the rose moon.
Hmm?
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you can see a variety of
Hmm?
labels from
Oh,
different
God, no.
different
Yeah.
native tribes had different labels that they would put on that moon.
Yes. And oh, the summer solstice not it's not for a couple of weeks, right?
Right.
Yeah. Um, I haven't looked at that moon. I haven't looked at that full moon. Um, but I will now that you remind me. So why don't we talk a little bit since we're on this? Actually, let's come back to that. Why don't we go to the next slide and then we'll come back to I do want to hear, I think Linda had some experience, some thoughts on how she's seeing it play out with her clients. What about the shadow of this is where I wanted to touch on. Jupiter does have this expansiveness, right? But expansiveness, if it's too much, which it can be, is too much. So, like, for example, I just had Jupiter going through my first house. And this is sounds silly, but I know I've gained weight. And that's not such a, it's not like, oh my God, this is terrible, but it expands whatever it touches. Now, that doesn't mean it's always bad, obviously, but what if you have a lot of debt? Or what if you have a bad habit? Or what if you have, I don't know, something that's really, some sort of friction in your life and this comes along and has, um, it's opposing it or it's squaring it. So it's squaring it if you have any planets in Aries, Capricorn, or Libra, you're going to have that friction, that challenging aspect that it's going to make. Now, does that mean it's going to be bad? No, not necessarily, because sometimes it moves you into action to make change for yourself. And that's when we actually, do something about our issues, whatever it is. Oh, my ankle's been bothering me for 6 months, but I haven't done anything about it. And then, it comes along and it sort of makes it worse so that I'm forced to deal with it. That's just an example. But um, what we're seeing on the screen now is the emotionality of it because Cancer is the first sign where we experience emotion, right? And it wants safety and it wants security. When you look at the other side of that, because of that desire to have safety and security, it can manipulate. I'm not saying that it's done in a vicious way, but it can do that. So, and when it's misused, that that tendency for safety, because you have to think of cancer and you have to think of the word safety almost synonymous, because it's like a mother. A mother's going to keep you safe. No matter what that mother is, usually they want to keep you safe. They want to keep you protected. And that's what Cancerian energy asks. But sometimes it's like a dog in a corner, like when you corner somebody, because they want that safety, they lash out. It's just something to be aware of. Um, for those of us who have something that's squaring or have something or have Cancer planets, it's something that, that can happen, and that it's not only an emotional thing. It can happen as the energy expresses itself in that I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute, in that
In that
desire.
sector.
Yeah. So basically, whatever it's touching in your chart, it's going to expand it. Um, but in this case, it does have that emotional signature to it.
Oh,
Yep.
good. Linda has a thought.
I was thinking, I'm thinking about on the collective level,
Hmm.
Jupiter in Cancer, because of the connection with the moon, has to do with the homeland.
Hmm.
And what I see of the shadow part is this need for the homeland to be safe.
Yes.
And some people are responding to all this going on by wanting to get an extra food, make sure I have safe food to eat
Yes.
and things like that.
Yes.
That wasn't the part that I was going to tell you about, but this is homeland stuff. And it's the
Totally.
eighth house of the US chart.
Really.
Yeah,
Uh,
United States has Sagittarius ascendant, right? Isn't aren't I right?
Yes, that's
yes,
right.
it
My I,
does.
my chart, I have the same Mars and Uranus as the United States, so that's the only reason I remember it. So I just think that's something to keep in mind and to just
Yeah.
ask, like, what might that look at like if Trump wants his big parade, for example, that's like a demonstration of excessiveness of the homeland.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That misuse.
Yeah, the misuse of resources in a way for the homeland.
And sentimentality.
Yeah, it's sentimentality. I've noticed on your slide you had that sentimentality. Like that's what I'm thinking of, that
Right.
excessive, like, oh, you don't love this country or whatever,
Exactly.
like shaming people because they don't see it the way you see it or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I can see that
Yeah. I think
big
that's
time.
but on the other hand, it can also be people getting emotionally wise and also getting wisdom, somehow getting the emotional wisdom and really getting it, like, wait a minute, something's off. Our country is like misusing money, or it's not taking care of the people. That's one reason I think that Jupiter going into Cancer suggests that the Senate can't really pass the bill the way it is because it's not taking care of the people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the vulnerable.
Right.
Mhm.
And we have to look at Jupiter as and Cancer as like we're all babies or whatever, which
Right.
that I want to say something about later whenever we have time. But anyway, that's what I was thinking about what you were talking. I thought, yeah. Oh, and the body also, because the moon is the body. This is going to bring more body wisdom, more self care, more
Big
emotional
time.
wisdom. Yeah, all of those things. And I think that's really good. That's all really good.
It is because I think it connects to, sorry, Rick, but I think it connects
Mhm.
to not only wisdom, but how people are affected nowadays with their nervous system. And,
Right.
I'm definitely one of those people. I mean, I'm big time. somatic work is
Yeah,
getting to be bigger and bigger.
sure. Yeah.
Um, that was best that you had that thought before I shared mine anyway, because Jupiter rules the liver.
Mhm.
The liver deals with anger.
Yes.
I have a difficult time remembering which between the liver and the spleen, which one deals repressed and unexpressed,
I
because
want
it's
to,
so close and similar, you
yes.
know.
Yeah.
But in the area of somatic work, if Jupiter in Cancer is going to start supporting that healing, maybe some people will start bringing things up and letting them out in ways that nurture and nourish
Yeah.
healthy rapport. But I do expect that that is totally dependent on the maturity of the individual.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything in astrology, I always like to say there is no good or bad chart. There is a way you're going to use it. Will you use it with your maturity to go to its higher level? Or will you go ahead and let life happen to you and not take
Yeah.
responsibility?
Right. Like this is actually a perfect example. We have, if we take Jupiter, which is wisdom, we take Cancer, which is actually, if we think about the journey of the soul, Cancer is is a child. It's experiencing the child's emotions, like little kids. They're messy, they don't get it, they're angry, they lash out, they cry. That can be Cancerian energy. So if you were to make like you just said, Rick, both are true.
Right,
Wisdom, learning, higher knowledge, higher wisdom, and then this childlike emotionality. You can choose how you use it. And I feel like I'm talking to myself when I'm saying all this stuff because it's like, oh my God, I need this.
Right.
But it's true, and depending on your level of awareness or consciousness, you're going to choose one way or the other. Not that everything is so black and white, but I know what you're saying, and I think it's going to be a big time for, like you said, self-care. That that word, those two words are used all the time, and I don't particularly like them because I think self-care has been completely like just blown out of the water. Like we should all have self-care. Uh, Self-care to me is not just taking a bath. It's a lot more than that, but it is a buzzword at this time. True self-care is going to actually help you, I think, be more grounded in yourself, and then you be better in the world with people, with others, and be of service. Um, if you have a headache and you know that you're going to snap at somebody, then just take yourself out to another room and you just, that's real self-care to me.
I
Um,
agree. Totally.
yeah,
Not like I got my hair done.
Yeah. Right. So,
absolutely. It's self-care should support more effective emotional literacy,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to really cope and deal and interact in healthy ways emotionally. Having ideas and being able to analyze things is uninformed until you take into account all the moving parts.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
okay, so I think it's time to share this little thing that happened. I'm
yes.
calling it if I was going to write an article about it, I would call it "Go Get Your Baby." And this is something that happened, because as you know, I also do trauma trauma work with people, and
Mhm.
I've been doing that since 1990. Plus, I studied some shamanism. I do not consider myself a shaman, but I do soul recovery based on a timeline technique with
Mm-hmm.
the person where they actually we go together. It's not like I go beat a drum and go and come back and tell them things. They do it. So, and I think that's really important. I call myself a soul recovery agent, like a detective, not like, a Mahaf or something. So it just kind of happened with this one person. Um, it was we needed to do a soul recovery thing, and it was obvious. And I knew we were going back probably to her childhood, but then I realized, like, no, we were going back to her birth. And it was like, I mean, it was like, who could even breathe with what happened? But
Wow.
her mother died when she was a teenager. So she grew up believing that because of her mother got sick, and
Mm,
all kinds of other things entangled in that.
right.
So what happened was she's there with her baby self, realizing that she's being born and her mother loves and adores her. And her
Mm.
mother stayed on this planet as long as she could for
Oh,
her.
wow.
That just changed everything for her. And later I thought, oh my God, this is like Jupiter in Cancer
Yeah.
kind of operation going on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Somebody else who's a totally different personality, we did one thing and it was like she kind of got there and it was like she's a little more mental, so it wasn't quite the same. And then it happened with a guy and found this soul part somewhere in his body, this baby full of rage for the way he was treated. And he couldn't bring it back because he said, I can't until the baby's healed. So it was like, wow, go get your baby, and then you will learn about emotional wisdom, body wisdom, and what you're saying, which is that I forget what word you used, Rick. Emotional
Emotional literacy.
literacy. Literacy. I like that word,
Mm.
literacy, and regulation. But literacy is better because it's like it's more like the encyclopedia, and then
Hmm.
everything else falls under it. Emotional
Mm-hmm.
literacy.
Mm-hmm.
But for the one client who went back and was with her mother and everything, and realizing the main thing, the biggest thing that happened was she realized how much her parents loved her.
Oh,
And I think
huge.
that's one of the things that we just don't know. We're lucky if we get glimmers of that. Um, and some people, maybe that's not even going to be possible. I don't know. But I'm going to keep working with it. And,
I would
everybody,
venture to say that that is nothing she could have experienced as an infant, and certainly not as a 13, 14-year-old child, because as much as we like to hoist upon them this idea of being a young adult, they have not yet received the experiences to wrap their minds around the words of what emotions have been stirred within them
right?
by different difficulties, challenges, and even traumas, which, of course, her mother's death was.
Mhm.
Only as she reached the age of adulthood, went through other difficulties, that was able to inform her
Yeah,
so that she could then go back and do the retrieval.
right. I agree. Yeah, there's timing.
That's what the difference is with the word literacy.
Right. Yeah,
It gives names
right.
to all the emotions, and all the issues of what felt damaged, what was lost, what
Hmm.
was wounded, hurt. So that, oh, I never saw this. I never saw that. Oh, I didn't realize that was hurting. That's
Well,
the
some
why
people, that's what they
literacy is
get
so
by doing
powerful.
trauma recovery. That's
Hmm.
exactly what we do. We go back and
Right.
find what the person felt, and then as an adult, they can give language to it. Because
Hmm.
we have body feeling. It's in the body,
Hmm.
so I can go like, well, where are you feeling something? And it's like, oh, right here in my chest. And they don't think that they have any feeling or know anything. And the minute they realize it's still in their body right here,
Oh, yeah.
they have language and then the encyclopedia can open kind of thing.
I ask people sometimes when I take them through something of that sort, what shape is it?
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, nice.
Does it have a color?
Yes, I do that with the color for
Do
sure.
you experience a texture?
Yeah,
What does that texture mean?
yeah,
You know? and all things, sorts of things unfold with that. But I
Right.
think more of that work is going to be very valuable as Jupiter is
That's
moving
why I
through
brought it up,
Cancer.
that I think more things about the ancestral healing. And it's like the one person who I did it with, who I can't remember now, she said, oh, that was so different than rebirthing, because they do that rebirthing thing, but it's still kind of intellectual. It's
Mhm.
intellectual and emotional, but it's not as real. It's not embodied somehow.
Right, right.
It
So
doesn't
it's
feel visceral.
visceral, right? So I think that's the difference that we're going to have, because of all the somatic stuff people have been doing. There's going to be a body wisdom, and I think if we can unlock the fact that we were loved, because I think actually there's love when when any baby appears. Uh, there's love coming from
Hmm.
someone. Because I mean, I've been in a delivery room. I mean, the tears just go. You
I
know,
know.
it's like, because it's such a
Or the utter joy that leaves you speechless.
I know it is. So I think the more people can experience that there was love there when they were born, the better the world's going to be. Because that's what's so blocked. It's like we just, the whole homeland thing, that
Yes,
sentimentality. It's like
yes,
there's no love there. It's just hate and
yeah.
stuff. Anyway, I'm done.
That
Thank
would
you.
be so,
Thanks for listening. I appreciate
of
it. Because
course.
Thank you for
I can't
enhancing.
tell everybody, because I'm not too worried about my client, because I've worked with her so long. She wouldn't mind my sharing. Of course, I'm not going to give her name, but we're not technically, we shouldn't share even an experience of somebody with strangers.
Well, we
But
appreciate it.
I've done it, I hopefully in a kind of archetypal way, the loss of mother. And I can't emphasize enough, if you're working with people with their chart or however you're working, people who lose their mother at birth, that is like the biggest
Mhm.
problem that a person can have. I don't care how good the caregiver is who steps in. It is like, I still don't know how to deal with that one. Anyway,
It's
that's
so
Jupiter and Cancer.
unnatural,
It's
you know?
unnatural, exactly.
Yeah. It's like asking somebody to walk around the world with 8 legs. Like, oh, I can't, it's just, there's, I can't imagine, so I'm not even gonna pretend, but
Yeah,
even
yeah,
for people who lose their mother, like people who lose their mother at an early age,
yeah.
it's
That's hard, but
completely
it's not
life
the same.
altering.
Yeah,
People
it's
who
not
lose
the
their
same.
father at an early age is also extremely difficult, but
Right.
there's, I mean, I just cannot, it changes,
Yeah.
it changes you.
It's its own thing. It's its own little archetypal pattern.
Wound.
Mhm. The
Ish.
mother,
Mhm.
that mother wound is huge, and I'm learning more and more about it, and it takes a lifetime, I think, to
Yeah.
try to
Well, this
grapple with it.
Jupiter and Cancer, I think, will be acceleration of healing on the individual level. I don't know about the
Right.
collective level, because of the sentimentality and the misuse of the energy, but on the everyday level of people, I think it's going to be really good.
I hope so, because the more, we individually heal, the better,
Oh yeah.
the
Oh,
better it
totally.
is.
That's what's
Yeah,
going to change everything eventually.
yeah. We do,
Hmm.
we have these outer planets doing some big, they're changing into different signs, and that energy is quite potent. Jupiter is, and Jupiter in Cancer is particularly nurturing and can be wonderful. But the outer planets have a lot of gusto. And so I think, and the outer planets are in Aries and are about to be in Gemini, and that it's very different energy. So, you kind of have to take it all with a grain of salt. There's no one thing that is going to overpower every, just
No,
because Jupiter is going
no,
into Cancer.
you're right.
So there's an area of your life and there's an area of potential. But if we could all maximize that energy, wherever it is in your chart, how great would that be? How great, and we're conscious of it, that's the best use of it. That's really the best use of it. So a couple of things I wanted to touch on is where we could potentially have areas of growth collectively, not just on the emotional level. And then maybe we can look at a few of our charts. Um, I was thinking possibly real estate, but there's other things going on in the world. I know that uh, anything Cancerian. So that
Food,
is, food, yes. Um, maybe the like dairy farms. Um,
Care for the elderly
yeah,
because of the ancestral portion.
yeah,
yeah. Um,
mm,
just things
It's a
that,
challenge with that Saturn square.
mhm.
for
And
sure.
look at the way the US is
Yeah,
wrestling now with Medicare,
right. Medicaid,
Medicaid, excuse me.
yeah. Because the
So,
elderly end up on Medicaid.
Hmm.
Well, after they use
right,
all their money, then they
Hmm.
give their Social Security check back to the government, and Medicaid covers the nursing
yeah.
facility. That's how it works.
Hmm.
So right when Jupiter goes into Cancer, it's going to have a square from Saturn. This is like freaking perfect example right here. It's
But it's also
Saturn.
the protest. It's
Yeah.
also people being Saturn and Neptune together.
Spiritual
Use
warrior.
is a spiritual warrior, but it's also can be some real fear that kicks the butt, because it's like, wait a minute, we can't do this. And I think that's one thing that's happening in the Senate,
Hmm.
that they're
Mm.
they're realizing that they could be in deep doo doo. So it'll be
Yeah. So
interesting what happens. The squares to me are always like kind of internal, unconscious kinds of dilemmas. So it's
mhm.
a collective unconscious of how really we feel about it, or how, you know, it's like it starts out with, well, we don't care, it's okay, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, we do care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we care big time. And then
Care big time, yeah.
yeah, that'll be interesting. Jupiter moves kind of fast compared to the other planets. So we'll see how it plays out. It won't be more than, you know, if we're at 0 degrees, it'll be weeks. But we'll feel it. We'll definitely feel it.
I
So
think
like I said, so the earth signs are going to have a sextile that's a 60-degree angle, which, can give you a nice opportunity for something that can really work for you. You're going to have to make some effort, but the earth signs will feel it in that way. And then the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, they're going to have that square that we're talking about, the square of the 90
resistance,
degree.
resistance.
Yeah. Yeah. Resistance is the perfect word.
That's what just came to me with the
Mm-hmm.
cardinal signs. Be resistive to the softness of the Jupiter
Yes.
in Cancer, and the opportunity to expand in our collective nurturing, and just
That's a perfect way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and hopefully with that square, whether it be individually or collectively, as a country, as a world, that we do come to a point where we don't, what happens with squares is that, that tension forms such tension that you eventually find a way, hopefully, to make peace with it, deal with it a different way,
Do
not
something with it. Yeah.
resist. Not resisting is surrendering.
Surrender. Right.
And then, so that's the cardinal signs. And then the fixed signs are gonna have, so Scorpio, um, Taurus, Aquarius and Leo, they're gonna have, a sextile. That's gonna be that opportunity. And then the water signs are gonna have, the Pisces and Scorpio are
Get
gonna
the
have
trine.
nice, yes, that's easy. Trine is energy that's, flowy. It's working for you. And you just, no resistance at all.
Right.
Um, so that's something to keep in mind as you look at your chart, as you think of other people that are, in your life. What's going on with, because you've got cancer. We've all got cancer in a certain area of your chart, right? So how is it going to be influenced? Is it going to be resistance? Is it going to be easy? Is it going to be an opportunity? That's your work to do, unless you come here and then we'll look at it. So, um, why don't we look at, Anita, I still don't have your details and that's okay. We don't need to look at them. Let me pull up Linda's chart first. Let's look at Linda's chart. Oh gosh, it's something weird is happening. It goes away. I'm sorry, guys. I'm clicking on
Oh,
the
I'm
chart
sorry.
and then I click on it and it disappears.
Oh no.
Let me
Well,
see
it's
if I
okay if
click
we
on
can't
another
look
one.
at charts. We'll be fine.
You know what? Maybe I'm not supposed to look at your chart right
May,
now. I'll come
yeah,
back to it.
maybe look at somebody else's, see if
All right.
you
I'm
can pull
gonna
up
look at
Christine. How about Christine?
Christine. Can you unmute yourself? I want to ask you a question. Are you a 1961?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
you are. Okay. I mean, I should know this, but my memory does not serve me that well right now. Okay, let's look at Christine. Can you see the chart big enough?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Christine, where is your Cancer? There it is. It's going to go through your eighth house.
And
So,
nine.
I'm sorry, in your ninth. Yeah,
And nine.
it's gonna go through both. So it'll start out right about here. And it'll go through right here. So in the eighth house, it's going to be, this is actually a good example of how it can work both ways, right? In the eighth house, you can have really wonderful relationship stuff. Uh,
Right.
or you can have, maybe you got more debt. Maybe you got financial stuff coming up.
Oh,
Um,
please.
or you can have perhaps your partner's money do very well.
Okay.
It
Oh,
it it depends on what's going on in your life. You do have Mars there, so the Mars is going to wake up. It's going to trigger your Mars. I have to make this screen bigger. I apologize. It's going to wake up the Mars. So Mars in Cancer is it's not very Martian. So Mars is like, a fighter planet. It is going to get up and kick butt. Mars in Cancer is more laid back because Cancer is a more feminine, receptive sign. It's not aggressive, it's receptive. So this is actually a good example of somebody that's really, patriotic and loves their family. And maybe
mhm.
there's some stuff with family, but Jupiter is going to come by and it's going to think about it. Whatever it touches, it's going to expand it. Now, that could work in both ways, so don't think that it's one way or another because you can be quite surprised. So this in the eighth house. So the eighth house is also a house where you can go deeply into the unconscious. You can go deeply into, psychology and things like that. That's a way that it could express itself. The occult, and if I want to, you know, if you're inclined like that, it's absolutely going to wake that up. Um, Jupiter in Cancer is going to, this could be great for meditation. Or, I mean, a lot of healing work,
Mhm.
like genuinely going deeply into healing work, whatever that means for you.
Yeah. What about, since I have Jupiter and Capricorn, is that going to, like, how bad is that? Since my Jupiter is actually in Capricorn, does it matter?
It's going to be a sextile. So I heard you say, how bad is that?
Yeah.
So remember, we're going to try to remember Rick's
Oh,
statement.
nothing's,
Nothing is bad or nothing is good. I mean, look, there are things that are honestly, they're not going to be as easy, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be bad. The imagination, I was reading something today, I was listening to something today at how quickly we are to jump to the negative when we don't know. So how about we turn it, and I'm guilty of it. Oh, big time, big time. I've created a giant negative story before I even it's amazing how my imagination just jumps to the negative.
I
But we
can
can
do that
use
too.
it, yeah,
Very,
we can
very
use it
well.
in
Yeah.
the other direction. So you see your Jupiter's at 29 degrees. You're not going to feel that sextile, so that's going to be an opportunity.
Okay.
You're going to feel it next year. You're going to feel it closer to probably June-ish of next year, going into July. That's an opportunity to perhaps learn, learn more about whatever, however this is going to express itself. So that Jupiter is going to be in the eighth house. You can have an opportunity to learn or to talk to other people, learn, teach, maybe even, write about it, or
Okay.
some sort of communication will happen.
Can
Or
you speak to more as to why you were using the term sextile? What are you seeing as a sextile?
so her Jupiter is in, oh dear, my daughter's calling. Her Jupiter is in Capricorn,
Yes.
right? And then her natal Jupiter,
Yes.
right? And that's
Right.
what she was asking about, and how
Yes.
it's going to influence this transit. So that's where I was going. Did I miss something there?
Yeah, sextile is 60 degrees, and that's well beyond 60 degrees. That's where
It's
the
an
problem is.
opposition. It's an opposition rather than a
So
sec.
that's right, it is an opposition. It's in Cancer, but I don't know why I thought, oh, it's
Well,
because it's an earth sign.
it's actually just moving into an in conjunction from 29 degrees
Right.
Capricorn to 29 Gemini. It's in conjunct.
I'm sorry, I have to text my daughter, and
Would
it's,
you like to go ahead and go on mute, and Linda and I will keep the conversation going if you want
yeah,
a camera off?
yeah.
Yeah, can I just ask Christina a question?
Sure.
I see that grand trine with your Mars, Neptune, and what? Mercury? Is that right, Rick?
Um,
Is it
I'm looking at it.
oh
The
no,
Grand
no.
Trine with
Grand trine is with
Neptune,
the moon.
Mars.
The moon. It's with the moon. So are you doing anything with real estate? You moving or selling anything or
no, but we are fixing up our house.
okay.
We
You know
are,
what? Honestly, it looks like it's more with Chiron than anything else.
Yeah, but it's
That
the moon the
that's
moon
a
is with
moon sun midpoint.
uh no, this is water. The moon,
I
Chiron,
understand, but her moon
Neptune.
is over in Aquarius at 17 degrees.
That's
Her
oh. I'm
What
sorry.
you're seeing is
Oh, got it. Yeah, I see what you mean.
it's a special
Poor
glyph.
Christine, we're confusing you. I'm gonna
I
shut
will say this, that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction of your natal chart is going to make you experience the square that Jupiter forms to Saturn much more easy to navigate than the rest of us. You have a natal predisposition to being ready for it. You're not going to be struggling the way other people do with
Rick,
that.
can you say that again?
The
What?
moon, the Jupiter Saturn conjunction of the natal chart in Capricorn in
Yep,
the third house
yep.
gives her the skills to navigate that temporary Jupiter Saturn square.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to bother her nearly the way it would be doing with the rest of us who don't
Right,
have that support.
She'll be prepared
Exactly.
and she'll
right,
stay
right, right.
realistic. She won't get out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Grounded in her,
She
in
might
reality.
travel. She might travel. Do you want to travel, Christine?
Um, I always want to travel, but I don't think we'll.
Okay.
We're
But you're
just
redoing your house. That's what I was
yeah,
seeing.
we're just
I was seeing some good thing with your fourth house with the Jupiter going through
okay.
Cancer and trining down there. Trining your
Mm-hmm.
The way
so,
it's going to be enshrined.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although with it being enshrined to and with that Mercury that we're just coming off of, she's probably been running around locally quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. And we've had a lot of family get-togethers and which I love. And then working on the house, just um we're redoing the bathroom and just I don't know, just I don't want to bore you with it, but just trying to get the place well, I do cat rescue. So I have cat rooms that I use that we're trying to now redo because um they were destroyed they were destroyed by my rescue cat. So we're just, repairing everything
So real estate is another part of the eighth house.
Yeah.
You going ahead and being benefited by improving the value of your home
and
is something that is occurring with Jupiter going through your eighth house. It's
oh,
helping you to strengthen your asset of joint of a joint asset that you hold with your husband.
oh, okay. Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
We're doing.
yeah,
Just
that's a
feel like,
wonderful use of the energy.
well, we feel like, we're getting older and he's 67 and and I'm also cleaning out things because like the attic, because my kids will kill me when I die if they see what's in that attic. They've already threatened me. They're like, Mommy, please clean out your crap. So yeah, I'm trying to just not that I want to die, but we're preparing so that we don't have as much to do when we can't physically do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it looks
Well,
like,
that's another way of getting your house in order.
Yes,
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
you're gonna have help.
Oh, well,
That's
we need it.
that's what that looks like.
We need it. Well, that's great. That's good news.
Good. It's good to see you. It's been a little while. It's great to have you.
Yes, I'm really glad that I got a chance to. Sometimes I forget that it's even Thursday. And then it's like 9 o'clock at night and I realize that I missed.
Well, come back, put an alarm on.
I will. I'll come back. And I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. Because I was
Yeah.
really worried about the Capricorn with, my Jupiter.
You know what? That's not going to be I don't see that as an issue. I don't know why I was thinking sextile. It's an opposition, but I think it's going to actually,
Eventually,
but a
yeah.
Capricorn is, you know, it's, it's grounded, it's stern, it's tough, uh, it can handle a lot. So, and if you're saying that you're doing a lot of work in your house, I mean, I think you're gonna have help. So what you said in the beginning, how bad is it? It's not, it's not going to be.
I'm sorry for sounding so negative.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
I would just say watch about that transiting Pluto going through your fourth house, because all that focus in the attic is liable to make you miss something stored in your basement. And plumbing in the basement
Watch out for the
is a
plumbing.
Pluto
We're
problem.
doing the plumbing, yes. Oh, we have to get a plumber out because we have some leaks. So, yes. So that's already being addressed.
Good.
Yeah, thank,
That's really good. That you're ahead of it, that you're dealing with it.
yes, yeah. Well, I feel really good about it. It's just a lot of work and
Oh yeah.
It's more work if you don't go ahead and deal with the plumbing.
oh, I know. Yeah. Oh, we've had like with the heavy rains, we want to put some French drains in because we've had flooding.
Right.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
a big need in this state.
Well, if you own a house, it's always one thing after the other. So,
Well, I think too, if you have a lot of clay in your soil
we
or
do.
very low water tables in general, where it's or a high water table, I should say,
Hmm.
then you're going to have more need for that.
We're in the valley where,
But your soil is what makes the difference.
well, we do have clay soil.
Yeah,
We definitely do.
that's what raises the water table,
Okay.
and that'll put it into your basement.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. When we moved in, there were French drains, but they were terracotta and they collapsed. And so
They're
we,
only good for about two decades. Then by the third,
yes.
they're trashed. That I shared a quote in regard to the last time Jupiter was in Cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and the themes of protection and rootedness and emotional truth are so powerful. That was at the same time that the future Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai was named one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine,
Oh,
praising her courage and
yeah.
compassion and willingness to advocate for the vulnerable, all core Cancerian values.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet that there'll be another go around with her with this, issue,
Or perhaps another, I mean, we might,
another
with the
person.
environmentalism here, see
Yeah.
some tide turning with Greta Thunberg.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Greta. Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, could be.
Thank you all so much.
You're welcome.
Of course.
Absolutely.
I was able to get you up, Linda.
Well, you're so nice. Thank you.
So I don't know why it kept doing it. So you have it starting out in your seventh,
Yes.
going through your eighth. Um, and actually after that, Jupiter is going to go into Leo.
I
So
know. I need to work really hard this year to make that be something special.
yeah, I'm telling myself the same thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, Jupiter
It's
going.
interesting all the years that the 89, 90, 2001, 2002. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember 2013 as much. But the first two, those were very, very big years of opportunity change for me.
Mm-hmm.
They really were,
Oh
especially
yeah.
2001. That was humongous year for me
Yeah.
of things that I did that I would never have thought I would do. And they were all by invitation. Um,
Oh, that's wonderful.
teaching,
Yeah.
going places, things like that. So
Yeah.
that was kind of cool to remember that and go like, oh, maybe there'll be something nice here,
Yes.
or there'll be something nice for my partner Jack. Nice things for him because it's my
Right.
house relationship. So, and it's going to trine my son, which is great.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
It's going to square your Venus pretty quickly, but that should be kind of
Well,
quick.
that's not as bad as Saturn and Neptune opposing it.
No.
You have a grand square with Jupiter. I mean, a T-square with
Right.
Jupiter. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
noticed, Linda, that as I looked at the different dates and I tried to remember some nature of the changes and the benefits, trying to look at how they show up in my life, that there can be some similarities cycle to cycle. That might be illuminating for you to take a
Yeah,
look
yeah,
and
I know. I was thinking that.
tweak it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely could. Maybe after this square thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know how much I mean, I just don't know. I mean, sometimes I believe that T-squares are really amazing. I mean, the charts that I do, 33% of the population has a T-square, number
Hmm.
one. And
Hmm.
they usually are the kind of people who push on through. So that could be,
Mm.
that's what I'm going to tell myself, like whatever is happening with the Saturn opposing that Venus and Neptune, that I
Hmm.
have to just keep pushing on through.
Hmm.
As long as I take naps, 2 naps a day, I'll be okay.
That's a great way to look at it. Listen, whatever helps.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
thank
that's what
you.
it's a good example of what I was saying. Like she's got Jupiter trining her sun, which is wonderful. She's got Jupiter squaring her Venus for a little bit. But the what she's saying, which is Saturn and Neptune right now, are opposing because Saturn and Neptune are conjoined right now. Those are really big energies. So, they can trump the other stuff. I mean, the sun is not yet trining her Jupiter quite yet. But what I'm saying is she's already thought about, I gotta think about this in this way because I could get swallowed up by this in some form or fashion.
That's
That's
right.
why for the millionth time will say, I love looking at these cycles. I love looking at these transits because you have a choice on how you're going to look at it. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Even if you get pulled under,
Right.
temporarily, you still know, like, okay, it's like you're going through bad weather and you're driving. You get there come a, you'll have a point where, oh, I can't see right, or oh my God, I couldn't, grip the steering wheel because the wind was so, but that, okay, this'll pass, this'll pass. It's a great way to look at it. So hopefully
Well,
you'll,
actually, Rick looked ahead. This was at least 2 years ago when he did my chart. And we looked at that, and I said, Saturn and Neptune are going to oppose that Venus and Neptune at the top of my chart. And I was like, I thought that was going to be the end of my life, period. Like that's just so like overwhelming. And he said, "Oh no, I think you're finally going to get something done. You're finally going to get some stuff done."
yeah.
So,
And you know what? Rick was a Capricorn. And
yeah,
not only was he a Capricorn, he was a double Capricorn, I think.
yeah,
Uh, I really believe that the consciousness of the astrologer is really it colors the interpretation big time.
it does. It
So
does totally. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, it does. Yeah.
And Rick was very conscious, of course, as we know, of Eris.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
it was
He,
also the fact that Saturn was conjoining Eris.
yes, exactly.
yeah,
So
He
yippee
considered,
skippy.
he considered that Eris opposing my midheaven and that stuff up there the most important thing in my chart. And,
Right.
I look back and I think, yeah, he's right because it influences my place in the world. It's definitely the 10th house to me is place in the world.
right.
And the fourth house to me is the psyche of the soul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
is,
Oh gosh.
it's at the bottom of a bowl. It's what you are
Right.
filled with
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So it's very core issues. I think that, and Aries is a tremendous social justice advocate.
You're telling me nobody is as pissed off as I am.
And the Neptune opposite Neptune,
Yeah,
doesn't that sound to me like uh, illusions are going to be dissolved
right, exactly. Yeah, they are.
by your clarity?
Hopefully. Thank you. Hopefully.
With
Yeah,
Saturn on there, oh
I know.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's some serious clarity.
I know. I know. Really. Uh-huh.
Boy, that was really great that he was able to, you know, share that with you.
It was. It really was important. Really was
Yeah,
important.
because you could be going through this time thinking, you know, just to have that little voice,
Yeah,
you know,
reminding me that this is like
exactly.
a fabulous opportunity for me to get something done because it's so hard with just Gemini stuff.
Yeah,
Um, you know, I'm all over the place, and so it can help override that a little bit because there's a lot of attention going.
absolutely. Yeah,
Whoa, okay, what's going on?
that's
Well, having a
fantastic.
fire in your soul
Yeah.
is probably going to help you remember all those Gemini details.
Well,
You'll
I
just
hope
put them
so.
to use.
Yeah, I hope so.
They won't be a distraction.
Yeah, true. There are a lot of moving parts. There's just a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's look at Rick now,
Let's look at Rick.
shall we? Then we'll
Yeah.
look at
Go for it.
screen to share. Okay, Rick. That's another one that Rick and myself, we got Jupiter going into Leo next year. So we got to get ready too.
All three of us. Wow.
Yes.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, in Cancer. So it'll start out in the 11th. Nice. Let's see, what else do you have? You've got it's gonna trine your Saturn, and it's gonna go through the 12th, which Jupiter in the 12th, I think is just whew. I personally just love Jupiter going through the 12th. What a
Expansive dreams.
How can you expand your spiritual self any more than you have, Rick? You're so already so expansive spiritually.
Well,
well,
I can only think that the time spent alone in thought is
uh-huh.
going to facilitate how do I go ahead and get words prepared to share with other people
Yeah,
to launch
when it
into the
crosses
future.
Right.
your ascendant,
Hmm.
it's that sun it crosses your ascendant.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah. For
This
me,
is
it's a publishing thing,
right.
getting ideas published to, and that would make sense for when it goes ahead and trines Eris,
Yeah,
because Rick pointed out to me that Eris creates a grand trine with my sun moon trine.
yes. That's a
yeah,
beautiful trine. That's a beautiful trine. Oh my gosh.
He said that's why things kind of deflect off of me and it keeps me protected.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, I
yeah,
could see how so Saturn in Pisces, it will trine it and all that, all that, all that wisdom and all that good stuff seeping in from that transit, you know, is going to be in here for a while. And then
And
it'll,
Jupiter can certainly be recognized not just as teacher, but also publisher or a
oh,
writer
definitely,
for
right.
definitely. Yeah.
large spiritual truth. So
Hmm. On a
that's what my
larger
intention
scale.
is.
Yes, yes. This is so that's 26 Jupiter. So right around December of 26 going into early 27. That'll be when it'll cross your ascendant.
Mhm.
So kind of like Linda, you know, you're getting ready for
Sure.
something, which we talked about your solar return this year and how you're slowly getting
Hmm.
ready for the bigger world.
Hmm.
It's fantastic. It's gonna that you will have a sextile to your Venus. Um, and you know, those
Sure.
outer planets as well.
Mm-hmm.
in your second house, that's going to be lovely.
Yeah.
And try your Neptune. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's no complaints here.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah. I do find, you know, with each cycle, I always find, for example, this was so 12 years ago we had this cycle. With each cycle, I feel like, obviously depending on the person, but it just keeps expanding you on a different level.
Pushing
Right?
you higher each cycle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And how it was when you were 22 is going to be different. Your consciousness was it was a different, you're a different person at that, not a different person, but you know what I'm saying.
An
You're,
earlier version.
yeah, yeah. And then, 12 years from now, that's going to look different. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just um kind of magical sometimes when I look at these transits and go, wow, it's the universe is always on our side,
Mm-hmm.
trying to help us, trying to expand us.
Absolutely.
So that looks good for you, Rick. That looks really nice for you.
Thank you.
I'm liking that for you a lot.
Me too.
Um,
It was good to take a look at it. I
yeah, yeah.
hadn't looked at it for myself.
So for me, it's going to be over um these Cancer planets. Let's see. Is it gonna do anything else? It's gonna trine my Jupiter and
Right.
my moon. That'll
Nice.
be lovely. I
Mm.
thank you, little baby Jesus, because I feel like I need it right now.
That's going to really sweeten your income from your uh, career.
I think so too.
The
Yeah,
greater benefit going through the second house,
Yeah.
trying your moon.
which
Yeah.
is in the 10th. Yeah. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll, yeah, I'm thinking, maybe it is financial.
Well, it would be
Before,
interesting to see what happened, not just 12 years ago, but um, maybe 11 years ago, because 11 years ago it would have been closer to a Jupiter conjunct Jupiter, or is it, am I thinking conjunct? Or it may have had a different connection to your Jupiter. Yeah, so the Cancer Jupiter 11 years ago would have been about halfway through, so it would have been trine your Pisces Jupiter in the 10th.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Apply
So
connecting from the second and 10th.
I remember, yeah. So 11 years ago, I had a job where I was making the most money I had up to that point, and then a year later, I got even better,
Substantially better, yeah.
substantially better. It changed my career path completely, like completely. Um, but I also had other transits at that point that were kind of hard. But I do remember. So
Well,
it,
if you had hard transits, recognize we are looking at the transits in accordance with your natal chart.
mm-hmm,
And that's what we see set up here. That like a year after you're seeing the Jupiter ingress into that, you're getting that cycle. So I'll bet if you would look back every 12 years from the 11-year mark,
yeah,
go that 1 year off where it's in trine,
right,
what has gone
right,
on through your life in those times that will give you some serious
yeah.
enlightenment.
And I was telling Rick that I have well, Rick and Linda, that in my solar return, it's going to do some good stuff in my solar return. And what I have found, uh, sometimes it's financial, but definitely a feeling of just feeling good in myself, feeling really just a lot more that self-esteem, that self-love is healthier and better, and it's really nice. Like that, just uplifting time
Hmm.
and meeting opportunities. That's what you were trying to say. I don't know if it was you, Rick, or Linda, that uh opportunities that
Hmm.
they come at those times. Um,
I think Linda might have started it, but I was hammering it home.
yeah, yeah. So, that's good. And then Jupiter's gonna go through my
Nice.
sun. Yes, I'll be living in another state at that point, and it's going to be going through that fourth house when I move.
Mm.
I'm sorry, I would have just moved. So hopefully that's a real nice, I'm
Where are
not
you
in
moving to?
Houston,
Oh,
and uh I don't do locational astrology. Like I don't do any of that because I would like to. And I could, trying to teach myself some. My sun line runs right through Houston. And it runs through my fourth house in like
that's good.
it's it looks good to me. It looks very good to me. So, all in all,
Wait. I was trying to get your birth information. So,
oh, okay. It's 8574 and
right.
it's 12:25 a.m. in San Salvador, El Salvador. So, all in all, it is going to be a year of beautiful expansion somewhere in our lives. Let's try to make the most of it, even with those squares, you know, it's gonna help us. So,
Well, remember too that Jupiter has such a power that its immense gravity is protective by pulling stray objects that could create havoc on the Earth into an orbit that it ends up orbiting
mhm,
Jupiter instead of going and banging around causing damage through the rest of the solar system.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's why it's considered so protective because
Yes,
it protects the inner solar system.
right.
The asteroids end up there usually instead of,
In the asteroid belt.
yeah,
it's amazing,
it
right?
can take a lot of hits
Hmm.
because it's gaseous and can just like exterminate something.
It
Giant
keeps,
whoopee cushion.
yeah. That's what Rick used to say about Jupiterian or Sagittarius energy, is that it just keeps, you can't keep it down too long. It's gonna
Right.
bounce back up. And I do see that with either people that have a strong Jupiter or Sages. Um, so this was lovely. I am excited about our next episode. We're gonna do Uranus ingressing into Gemini. Oh my gosh. Another outer planet changing signs this year. It's gonna be very, very different than Taurus. So we'll
Very
talk,
different than Jupiter.
very different than Jupiter. Yeah. And it's gonna immediately make some really cool aspects to other outer planets. So we're gonna talk about that is on
2 weeks from now.
June 19th. So we will see you then. Stay tuned if you wanna get updates, go on our Facebook page or go on my personal page. I always make it public. And join us through the link on live, or watch us on YouTube. In the
And I'm
meantime,
sharing more stuff on Kempy's Corner on Facebook, which, because I try and keep my personal page personal and put
Yeah.
everything that's educative like this on Cempie's Corner. So there's another space you can find that and other fun things that are inspirational and
Excellent.
all kinds of fun.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you, Rick. And
Thank
thank you,
you.
Linda, Christine,
you.
and Anita.
Thank you so
And
much for showing
yes,
up, everybody.
yes. Thank you,
And
everybody. Have a
I
good
really-
night.
Good
I had a
night.
good time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care, all.
Take care. Bye-bye.